been up for 4 days straight because of this wisdom tooth. The pain is unbearable, and the fever is making me feel crazy. It feels like the wisdom tooth in my jaw is pulsating with my heartbeat, and its root is growing longer and longer, almost piercing through my jawbone. I've been avoiding the dentist, but I can't take this anymore. I need to get this tooth out. At midnight like this, I was lucky to find a dental clinic on a quiet street. But why don't I have any impression of this clinic, even though I pass by this neighborhood every day? The inside of the clinic was cold and stuffy. There was only one nurse at the reception desk, her face almost completely covered by a large mask. I want to have my wisdom tooth pulled. Is Dr. John here? I want it done right away.
Of course. Dr. John is always ready to serve. But first, let me check your teeth.
The nurse's actions were so strange. It felt like her fingers were gently stroking my teeth as if examining a display item.
Your teeth are all very good.
Hey, that's rude.
You're too sensitive. This is just a basic examination. Dr. John is ready. Let me show you the way.
My anxiety was increasing. I hope it was just a side effect of the fever. The strange nurse led me to a room at the end of the corridor. The room was as big as the entire lobby outside, and the bright lights blinded me.
Hello, I'm Dr. John Hendricks. I'll take care of your dental problem.
I sat down in front of the consultation table and glanced around. At that moment, I heard the nurse whisper to Dr. John that I wanted my wisdom tooth pulled.
Well, we'll have to perform surgery to remove it.
Surgery? He decided to operate just because he listened to a nurse. He didn't even take an X-ray or check my health. Is he even a real doctor? This must be an illegal clinic. Sorry, my tooth doesn't hurt anymore. I'll go now.
No, your tooth needs to be pulled.
This is my tooth. You can't decide for me. The two scammers finally showed their true colors, and I fought back. I accidentally knocked off the nurse's mask, and her horrifying face appeared. She had a mouth like a praying mantis, with only bleeding gums and no teeth. I screamed, and at that moment, the doctor appeared and restrained me from behind. I struggled but couldn't escape. The monster slowly approached me. He used its bare hands to pull out my 2 front teeth. The pain was excruciating. Before my eyes, it used its bloody teeth to plug the empty sockets in its own mouth. At that moment, I realized I was dealing with something not human. Let me go! I'll give you anything you want!
Don't worry, we just want your teeth.
The crazy doctor injected me with anesthetic, but he didn't wait for it to take effect before starting to pull my teeth. I felt my head being jerked, and my jaw joint was shaking with each jerk. Then I heard a sickening crack. My jaw was broken. I screamed and cursed at the horrible doctor, but he didn't care. He was only interested in my wisdom tooth. I thought the surgery was over, until the nurse came in holding a tray with 32 strange animal-shaped teeth, exactly the number of teeth in my mouth. The crazy doctor put my wisdom tooth into the empty tray, then picked up an animal tooth. He planted that disgusting tooth into the hole where he had just pulled my tooth out. He pulled out another tooth and replaced it with an animal tooth. One by one, my teeth were replaced. I was overwhelmed by pain, blood loss, and dizziness. I could only endure. I don't know how long it had been, but after seemingly being satisfied with his work, the crazy doctor finally released me. I swore that if I ever got out of that hellhole, I would make those bastards pay. Enduring the pain in my mouth, I took out my phone to call the police. But when I turned around to check the building's address, there was only an empty lot, and no one else was there but me. A terrible fear overwhelmed me. I put on a mask to hide my horrifying teeth and went to a pharmacy to buy some medicine to stop the bleeding. After returning from the bizarre dental clinic, I could feel the animal teeth digging deep into my jaw, and they were continuing to grow longer and longer.
Here's your medicine.
Even though I couldn't see it, I could feel that my face looked terrifying. The strange animal teeth were growing longer, piercing through my jaw, through my tongue, and out of my mouth. And blood was pouring out of my mouth. I tried to run away to avoid the strange looks of the people around me. Suddenly, a military vehicle appeared and blocked my way. They treated me like a strange creature, but they were right. My current appearance was no longer that of a normal human.
Don't be afraid. You've been attacked by SCP-5150, and we will help you.
I can't remember how many times I've had this dream, but the fear and helplessness still make my heart ache. That's right. I'm terrified, absolutely haunted by spiders. As a child, I lived on my dad's insect farm, surrounded by spiders. The fear nearly gave me a fatal heart attack, leading my parents to divorce. Now, I live with my mum. My graduation is soon, but Dad didn't reply to my invitation. His last email, 2 weeks ago, proudly announced his success with mutant spider research. I have a bad feeling something went wrong with my dad's research. I've decided to go to his farm and make sure he's safe. It's been almost 10 years since I last set foot in this house. The house was pitch dark, damp, and eerily silent, with only my voice echoing as I cautiously called out, "Dad!" There was just one place left to check. Taking a deep breath, I tried to suppress my fear and turn the doorknob. Suddenly, a swarm of black spiders scurried out from behind the door. My body froze, trembling as I collapsed to the floor. At that moment, someone stepped out of the basement. It was my dad, George, the biologist, silently blowing a strange flute that sent the spiders retreating into the basement. Dad helped me up, his frail hand pale with black veins and dark, sharp hairs like a spider's bristles. Something was definitely wrong with him.
Why are you here, Jax?
I handed him the invitation card. He took it without a word, his cold demeanor cutting deep. Then I noticed something stuck on his eye. Instinctively, I reached out to remove it. It was a strand of spider silk, not something accidentally caught in his eye, but something coming from inside it. Dad jerked back, clearly annoyed by my actions, and rubbed his eye. The strand of silk disappeared without a trace. "Dad, my car broke down. Can I stay here for the night?"
Fine. But stay in your room. Don't wander around.
Seeing Dad's odd behavior, I knew something was wrong, likely because of the spiders. I made an excuse to stay and find out. As a meticulous researcher, I figured Dad would have recorded his entire experiment. I was right. Taking a deep breath, I opened the first folder. Skipping the confusing reports, I clicked on the first video, and it terrified me. The clip showed a female spider carrying an enormous egg sac. The spider screamed in pain, like a woman about to give birth. But spiders lay eggs, don't they? My suspicions were quickly confirmed. I watched as a massive baby spider broke out of the egg, dragging its mother's insides with it. The hungry spider rushed to its first meal, while the mother lay weak, helpless, and still as her young devoured her. It was so cold-blooded, so cruel. It was more disgusting than any spider or monster I had ever imagined. It took me a moment to regain my composure. I opened the final video, but what I saw was even worse. I was sure this spider was no longer a normal creature. Thinking about how this mutated spider had been born, I feared for my dad. What would happen when those eggs hatched? Suddenly, my dad appeared in front of me, his face furious.
Jax! What are you doing here?
I forced down my fear and rushed to tear off his shirt, hoping what I had seen was just a scene from a sci-fi movie. But I was wrong. These spiders were more dangerous than I had imagined. Each egg was stuck to my dad's skin, with a tiny tentacle piercing his spine. They were living and growing off his spinal fluid. The fear in my chest grew stronger, and I felt dizzy, my hands and legs trembling uncontrollably. Looking up at my dad, I noticed his eyes were slowly turning into those of a spider. I heard him gasp and scream at me.
Run! Get out of here!
He still had his mind. He still cared for me. I had to save him, telling myself that. I grabbed a ruler from the desk and rushed toward him. I shoved him to the ground, using all my strength to crush the eggs on his back. One by one, they cracked open and the baby spiders fell, filling the air with the scent of blood and a foul odor. Suddenly, my dad erupted with strength. He shoved me off, screaming,
Don't hurt my children!
"You've lost it, Dad! I'm your son! I'll save you from these monsters!" I yelled, only to realize, in shock, that the man in front of me was no longer the dad I knew. He had fully transformed into a monster. He shielded the baby spiders like a true mother spider, glaring at me as though I were an enemy trying to harm his offspring. The look in his eyes caused me pain and despair. What could I do to save him? But it was too late. The monster, now enormous and with all the terrifying traits of a spider, stood before me. My body froze, even breathing felt difficult, and my heart began to ache again. My dad's agonizing scream jolted me back. I turned to see the newborn spiders, driven by instinct, making him their first meal. Survival instinct drove me to run. I tried to drag my dad with me, but it was already too late. I was always the punchline to their jokes, the lumbering target of their sharp tongues and cruel laughter. Today was no different. We were at Splash Out, the water park renowned for its towering slides and twisting tunnels. The sun blazed overhead and laughter rippled through the air. But not mine. For me, this place was just another stage for humiliation. The gang, my so-called friends, clustered around me near the entrance of the Turbo Twist. It was a short, narrow slide nestled among the towering giants of the park, but its reputation was deceptive. It was tighter than it looked, almost claustrophobic.
Bet you wouldn't fit.
Matt sneered, his voice dripping with mockery. The others erupted in laughter. My stomach churned as I climbed the steps to the slide. The rough concrete bit into my bare feet, each step amplifying the knot in my chest. At the top, the lifeguard gave me a dubious look but said nothing as I positioned myself on the slick edge. I hesitated, my gaze darting to the entrance of the slide. The opening looked uncomfortably snug, a glossy black moor glistening with running water. I could feel their eyes on me, waiting for my inevitable retreat. Heat flushed my face, not from the sun, but from the shame simmering under their scrutiny. "Fine, I'll do it." Their laughter turned into whoops of mock encouragement. The cool touch of the water against my legs sent a shiver up my spine. I pushed off, the initial rush of momentum making my heart leap. For a moment, it was exhilarating. The darkness of the tube enveloped me, water splashing against my sides. But then I felt it. The slide narrowing around me. My shoulders scraped against the slick walls, the friction slowing me down. Panic clawed at my throat as I realized I was stuck. I tried to wiggle, to shift my weight forward, but the slide gripped me like a vice. The flow of water, relentless and uncaring, pooled around me, rising quickly. The water was up to my chin now, surging against my face. I craned my neck, desperate to keep my mouth and nose above the rising tide. My breaths came in shallow gasps, the air in the tube thick and humid. I thrashed, trying to free myself, but the effort was futile. My skin scraped against the abrasive surface, and I felt a burning sting on my arms and sides. With each attempt to move, the pain intensified. The water pressed against my body, forcing me tighter into the unforgiving tube.
He's stuck! Get help!
Inside the tube, my reality was collapsing. The rising water sloshed against my face, and my vision blurred with tears and panic. I could feel the skin on my arms and back peeling away, raw and exposed from the constant friction. Blood mixed with the water, its metallic scent filling the confined space. Suddenly, I felt a violent tug on my legs. Someone was trying to pull me free. The force sent sharp jolts of pain up my spine. My skin stretched, tearing in places as my body resisted the pull. Another impact reverberated through the tube. Someone outside was hitting it, trying to crack it open. Stop! I wanted to scream, but the words were drowned out as water flooded my mouth. I choked, my chest convulsing as I fought for air. The pulling intensified, and with a sickening lurch, I felt myself being wrenched free. The rush of air and blinding sunlight hit me like a tidal wave. I collapsed onto the wet pavement, my body trembling uncontrollably. For a moment, I was overwhelmed by the sheer relief of breathing again, but then the pain hit me in full force. Gasps and cries erupted around me. I looked down at my arms, at my chest, and my breath caught in my throat. My skin was gone in long, jagged strips, leaving raw, red flesh exposed to the air. Fat and tissue gleamed wetly under the sunlight, grotesque and shimmering. Blood oozed from the wounds, pooling around me. My friends stood frozen, their faces pale and eyes wide with horror. The lifeguards hovered nearby, their faces grim. One of them barked into a walkie-talkie, calling for medical assistance. As I stood up, pain radiating through every nerve in my body, I could see the fat under my skin quivering with every shuddering breath I took. Strings of it dangled from my arms, grotesque and alien. People gathered at a distance, their horrified whispers carrying through the air. The world around me blurred, the colors bleeding together in a surreal haze. Before I lost consciousness, the last thing I saw was the reflection of my mangled body in a puddle of water, a sight so horrifying it burned into my mind. When I woke up, I was in a hospital bed, my body swaddled in layers of gauze. The sterile smell of antiseptic filled the air. I couldn't move without sharp, searing pain shooting through me. My parents sat beside me, their faces etched with worry and guilt. The doctors told me I was lucky to be alive. Lucky. The word felt like a cruel joke. My body was a patchwork of scars, a grotesque reminder of what had happened. They say trauma changes you, and they're right. I don't leave the house much anymore. The world outside feels too sharp, too cruel. The whispers, the stares, I can't bear them, but after all, maybe it doesn't matter. In the end, The scars speak louder than words ever could.